But one of the issues that you have here is this chasm of comfortable complacency that a lot of people are caught in at the moment. So I learned about this idea called the region beta paradox, right? So the region beta paradox, imagine that if you were to go a mile or less, you would walk it. And if you were to go more than a mile, you would drive it. Paradoxically, you would go 2 miles quicker than you would go 1 mile. So that means that sometimes worse situations can be better than better situations. And this is an issue when if you only decide to act after you cross a certain threshold of badness or whatever, you can end up being stuck in region beta. So for instance, the friend that should leave his job really needs to leave his job, but it's just about passable. His boss isn't that much of a dick. Maybe the benefits are okay or whatever. Or the person that's in a relationship with someone that they really don't want to stay with, and it's not that brilliant, but it's not that bad. They don't abuse them. Everything's okay. The person that stays in an apartment that's got some mold on the ceiling, but it's not too much mold and whatever. All of these people would be better off if their situations were worse, because it would galvanize them into actually doing something. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
You can get stuck in this chasm of comfortable complacency that sits somewhere in the middle. If things are good, great, no problem. If things are bad, great, activation energy to go and make them good. If things are just about passable, you end up being comfortably numb.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that's not good. So what does someone do when they're in that? Do they have to have high expectations and high standards so that even, like, for a guy like yourself who now makes a living independently, if you had to have a job and you had to be working around some boss who's kind of a dick and took credit for your work and wasn't, happy with your performance, was always like nitpicking and fucking with you and you know how it works in office environments. And
I've not had a boss for 15 years, but
congratulations.
Yes. Thank you, man.
But so that's a perfect situation, because if you did have to go to that place where a large percentage of the population is in on a daily basis, bosses suck. A lot of people have bosses.
Yes.
A lot of people are in those really suppressive office environments. We're dealing with office politics and egomaniac bosses. That sucks. If you had to go back to that now, it would be horrendous.
Yes.
But if you were conditioned to it, if it was a normal part of your life, it was just, hey, hey, look, I like playing softball on the weekends with my friends, and I love my family. I'll deal with it. I can handle it. But you're like suppressed all day long. You're just feeling like shit.
And because things aren't that bad,
right,
the activation energy isn't there to kick yourself out of it.
Yeah, you're upper middle class. You got a nice house.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
This is the way that people are being sedated into a life that they really don't want to lead.
Yeah,
it's so dangerous, man. It really is. And I don't know what the answer is. I mean, what do you want to say? Do you want to say that you need to make your life actively worse so that you're going to be more excited? So that you're going to have the activation energy to kick yourself out of the bottom? I mean, think about the things that a lot of people do to make themselves feel better. Actively going out of your way to sit into a hot circular wooden chasm, right? Or going and putting yourself in 39-degree water.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Because the world has become so comfortable, we're having to go out of our way to actively seek discomfort. We inject it into our lives. We artificially inseminate it into our lives without training and hot and cold and meditation and all of the other things that we do, reading, doing deep work, all of those stuff. Without that, if you didn't actively go and seek it, you could easily just breeze through life, right?
I guess, but I think you'd be overwhelmed by anxiety.
Oh, for sure. But that's where a lot of people are.
Yes. And then unfortunately people don't recognize that's why that stuff exists, and people that I care about, that I've tried to talk to, don't recognize that. And I think sometimes when I give advice to people that I care about, my personality is so overwhelming and I'm so crazy, like with what I do, that it's like they're like, I don't want to do that.
Doesn't map across onto other people?
Well, it just seems like it's for some people it's attractive and they go, I want to do that too. Like, you seem pretty fucking happy despite all the stress you're under. Like, how are you doing that? And I'll tell people that because I create my own bullshit, and my own bullshit's way harder than whatever I'm facing in the world. And that's how I mitigate the stress of success and pressure and criticism and all that stuff. Like, I do to myself way worse than they're ever going to do to me. So that's how I mitigate it. Also, I calm my body. I calm my mind through calming my body. And I calm my body through work. I make it work. And I make myself do things that are very uncomfortable, that I don't want to do. And by doing that, I developed this strength and perseverance. And some people hear that and like, I don't even want to do that. I don't want to take a fucking nap. You're exhausting me.